Well, good day and welcome to another episode of Bucket List Living with Brad Norwood. I'm your host, Brad Norwood, and have with me today probably the most unique guest that we've had on the show yet. A guy that has made a living flipping products. Now, you've probably seen this before if you're on social media, mainly Twitter and Instagram, but flipping products for profit. In fact, that's the name of his company. He's the CEO of Products for Profit, Mr. Joe Hart. Joe, welcome to the show.
Thanks, man. I appreciate the invite. I was super excited. I love doing stuff like this and being able to talk with other like-minded individuals and, share a message and hopefully,
Sure.
People get something from it.
That's right. You would think that the viewers that normally watch our show, you would think that they might think that I called you and said, "Hey, Joe, go get this flag that says average is the enemy and hang it behind you during today's show," because those that follow the Bucket List Living with Brad Norwood, they know that we always say average is the first loser. So I love that you've got that flag as your backdrop, and I know that's part of your language as well. Fill people in exactly what Products for Profit is and what you do.
So Products for Profit is a membership-style group. It's based around retail arbitrage or flipping, what I call it. And essentially what we're doing is we're taking a group of people who are wanting to learn a new skill that can be monetized and essentially teaching them the basics, whether they're brand new or even people who have been flipping for a while, and essentially leading them, giving them tips on hot items in the market that can be either quickly resold for immediate profit or items that you would hold kind of like stocks and sold later on in the year. So within the group, we have, it's a plethora of different items and it changes based on the seasons, but we have items that can be sold for profit now, and then there's certain toys and stuff that are going to be retired towards the within the next couple months or at the end of the year that for me personally, I have a storage unit full of them waiting for Q4. So
Wow.
The same way people invest in stocks or index funds or whatever they want to put their money into, I do that with just stuff to sell.
Stuff to sell. Is it primarily toys, or what categories does this stuff to sell fall into?
It's a lot of it is toys. Some of it's more collector's items. Like for me, I started doing this a couple of years ago, and it was really just going to garage sales, estate sales, thrift stores, consignment shops, that type of thing, and just kind of looking around and seeing anything that would catch my eye and interest me. And then I created a course called The Art of Flipping. It was more like an intro to getting people started, how I was looking for items, different resources I was using. And, I released that in January of 2019. And so it had some success. A lot of people got some great results from it. And this year when the whole virus happened, I started to come across trends of items that at the time were selling pretty hot and that were continuing to sell hot, and as they moved into different times of the year. And so now we're here in June, and obviously the items that were hot 3 months ago are different now. I just wanted to create a community that was going to give tips to people to where they could see results fairly quick, and to give them the opportunity to communicate with other resellers within the group. When I started it, PFP was a couple months ago. I don't remember the exact date. And I really didn't know what to expect. I knew people were interested in flipping because that's what I talk about a lot on social media, specifically Twitter. But, my goal was it'd be cool to have 100 people in the group. Like, I think that would be awesome. And we're here 2 months later, and we're pushing 1,300 between, we have a separate US and Canada group, and then we have a UK-based group, which I I have one guy that runs that group because he's based in the UK and he understands the market over there. So right now it's focused on those 3 countries. The goal eventually is to expand worldwide. I get a lot of messages asking if it's relevant for, South America, Africa, Asia, other European countries, and I just don't have a knowledge of their market and what's available. But the eventual goal is for it to be applicable throughout the world. So it's going to take some time, but I'm excited for it.
Yeah. So it feels like, Joe, and for those listening and watching, I'm just going to raise my hand. I bought the program. I'm a member of this because I wanted to find out. And quite frankly, my son who's 12, had learned about it watching some YouTube videos. I don't know that it was your program specifically, but I had followed you on Twitter. And I said, well, yeah, I know a guy that does that. He charges this much a month for his membership, and then he tells you what he's doing. I said, if you want to sign up, we'll sign up. We'll give it a try and see what happens. So I'm a proud member, Joe, if I must say, and it's been great. But your mentality seems almost based on Tim Ferriss's 4-hour work week per se, much like our Bucket List Life program. There's got to be a lot of work on your end with the research in just the few short weeks that I've been a member. How many hours of research do you do per week?
A lot of my research, I spend a couple hours a week on research as far as online, but a lot of my research and what tends to happen is when I go out sourcing for items, I don't just pay attention to what I'm looking for. I pay attention to what other people are buying. So outside of like the basic necessities of like food, toilet paper, paper products, I pay attention to what's in other people's carts. And that's maybe not the expert way of doing things, but you kind of catch a glimpse of, oh, they bought that toy, or hey, they bought that hair product, or hey, they bought, that outdoor product, activity for their kids. And so by doing that and paying attention, I keep a mental note. And then when I get home or I get in my car, I'll do a little research really quick, whether it's through eBay or Mercari or just going online and seeing, hey, has this product increased in sales over the past month or 6 weeks or 2 months, and see if it's something that, hey, maybe I should jump on and test it out.
Awesome. That's awesome, man. Again, the work you do, I've attended one of the webinars. You give out great information on products I would have never dreamed of. Quite frankly, some I don't even have interest in.
Right.
But the depth that you go into and the detail that you give is great. But it leads me to the question: how in the world did you get started with this? What did you do before, and then how did you transition into this?
So, I guess the way I got started initially flipping, I had an aunt. She recently passed away, but she was a avid golfer. She was amateur golfer in Mississippi. Her and her father are actually the only father-daughter duo in the Mississippi Golf Hall of Fame. So
Wow.
she actually sold stuff and flipped stuff all the time. She would go to yard sales and garage sales and thrift stores and look for specifics. And when I was living in Florida, she came to visit a few times to see my grandmother. And I went out with her a couple times just to kind of see. And that kind of caught my interest. But I really got more serious about it. I moved up to New Jersey just under 3 years ago, and I started a new job. I was working in a coin auctioning company where we auction off old numismatics like Morgan silver dollars, old gold coins, silver coins, Roman era, all sorts of stuff. And I was seeing what prices were selling on that. At the same time, I'm a little antsy. I don't like staying in a job for too long. After a couple of years, I'm kind of like, all right, I want to move on to something else. But at the time, I found myself in this credit card debt and just tired of living this whole paycheck to paycheck lifestyle. And I came across this side of Twitter And, people are making money a lot of different ways. And some of them sounded interesting, but I just didn't feel like it was right for me. And I thought, you know what? I've flipped a few things before in my life. Why don't I try to take it a little more seriously? And so I just started hitting up garage sales and estate sales. And it started with like baseball cards because I collected those as a kid. And so I would buy up, people's collections at a garage sale. And then I would just flip it, even if I was only making an extra $50, $60. And I realized this is kind of easy to do. I mean, it takes a little bit of time going from garage sale to garage sale, but like I enjoyed that. It was the thrill of the hunt. And so I would start moving into collectibles and antiques. And it got to the point where, I would spend maybe 4 or 5 hours on a Saturday and spend, I don't know, $50, $100, sometimes more, sometimes less, and then list items on eBay and, take my initial, let's say, $200 investment and turn it into 500. And from then on, I just started doing that whenever I had free time in between my full-time job and coaching competitive cheerleading. I've been doing that for 11 years. So that took up my nights. And so I started doing this, and, I realized on this side of Twitter, everyone was talking about, running a personal brand or copywriting or email marketing. And I didn't really have any experience with that. And I thought, you know what? Some people don't want to necessarily start their own business. It's maybe not for them. They don't want to take the risk. But why don't I try to introduce people to flipping? People have heard about it. People have watched Gary Vee. They've watched, other people do it. Why don't I try to introduce them to that? And if it's something they want to pursue, they can. If not, completely understandable. And so I just started doing that and really trying to make it a full-time gig. And it's not always you don't always go out and find something you're looking for. There's been days where I can go out for 5 or 6 hours and barely find anything. But because I've set myself up to where I don't have to find X amount of dollars in profit every single day, it gives me the time freedom to do what I want. And really just the main thing has been being consistent and trying to change the mindset of, instead of going into a Walmart and Target and thinking, oh, I got to buy this, this, and this for the house, realizing that there's opportunities and money everywhere. And that's like one of my 3 things that my message is based around is average is the enemy, money is everywhere, and nobody cares to work harder. So that's been my mentality. And it's just allowed me to have some success and being able to teach and interact with other people. And so it's been a huge blessing in my life. And I have a goal of teaching 10,000 people how to do this. So I would say I'm probably around 3,000 now. So I'm 30% of the way there. So I'm looking forward to the next 7,000 people I can help.
I've got to say, at the rate that I've just seen you grow in the past 2 to 3 weeks, that 10,000 is going to be achieved pretty soon. That I know was a lofty goal when you started, but my goodness, you can probably see yourself getting close to 20,000 as your next goal, right?
Right. Absolutely. It's grown so fast. It grew way faster than I expected it to, which is a good problem to have as long as you have, as long as you're confident in what you're doing. There's some things that stress me out from day to day. It's not like I live a stress-free life by any means, but when you understand, I kind of take myself back to when I was first learning and what I was doing to kind of gain knowledge in the market or items that could potentially yield some type of profit. And I take those learning experiences and that's what I transfer to the people who are brand new to help them, because sometimes it can be overwhelming if you have no experience flipping and you jump into PFP. There's a lot of info that's available to you, and it could be overwhelming at times. So those people typically will DM me or DM a couple other people, and there's a process. You want to join in the chats. You want to take a look at the product list, and then you want to get through the webinars. You don't have to get through them all in a day because there's probably 10 webinars on there right now. You just take them day by day, and you want to take some notes. But there's something that's new or something that needs to be reinforced in each one of those webinars every single week. And so that allows people to grow and start understanding, the way I think and other people think. My goal with the group isn't to like spoon feed everyone. It's not to just put out a list of products for people to capitalize on. My goal is to help them find products, but it's also to teach them to be able to find products on their own. Because if they're just relying on me for certain items, then they're not going to see any type of success other than a short term. And so my goal is I want them to be able to find products on their own and say, hey, I think I found this. What do you think? Instead of, I need another product to sell. I want them to be able to go through the process, because if you don't understand the process, your success will be short-lived.
Sure. Well, and that's a great transition. Again, people think I've teed you up for these. This is the first time I've ever spoken with Joe and met face-to-face via our recording today. But you talk about the process, and we talk about the process all the time in the Bucket List Life Plan, that each day has to be intentional. You have to have a long-term goal and work it backwards, starting with today, and get all the way to today and be intentional about that process. And we have a 12-step process in my Bucket List Life Plan. I don't know if you have a certain number of steps, but again, as a member of your program, I totally see that process. In fact, if you will allow me to can I tell the story about the swimming pool?
Go for it.
So we got in a couple of weeks ago. My son Bryson and I joined the program kind of to give him something to do. And to be honest with you, I was curious how you were doing this because, again, I see it all over Twitter and was just intrigued by it. And so the first item that you had talked about that week were swimming pools. And this was the week before Memorial Day. And I thought, gosh, this guy's a genius. Everybody's going to want swimming pools to start the summer. Well, how dumb are we? And so we walk into our local Walmart. There are 12 swimming pools on the shelf. It's the first shelf you see when you walk in our store. And I told my son, I said, look, we're going to buy one. And if we sell it, we'll come back and get another one. And if we sell that, we'll come back and get another one. But we're not going to buy inventory. We're not going to take the risk. I'm teaching him, right, how to minimize his risk. Of course, right. Dad's playing the bank here too.
Yeah.
And so we did that 4 times. And on the 5th time, we walked back in the door and the pools are gone. The other 7 had sold. And I'll never forget the look on my son's face. He looks up at me, just a blank stare. And I said, I guess we should have bought them all, huh? I said, that's risk reward. Mm-hmm. And he goes, Dad, our business is gone. and it was right then I thought, you know what? My son's right. Our pool business is gone for what we were flipping. But it was then that I realized how valuable your process really is. That it's not just about one product and you listing a product and saying, put out the tweet or the group text or whatever it may be and say, hey, go get your swimming pool. They're selling today. It really is that process, very similar to the Bucket List Life Plan, looking all around you, right? Seeing what you can make profitable. Is there a business in this? Maybe it's neckties, gym weights, right? Whatever it might be, lamps and lampshades,
right?
Those type of things. So how do you have a certain steps to the process, or is it just kind of in your webinars and teaching?
I try to go over the basic steps, especially really for beginners. Every webinar, I go over how to check comps on eBay, because that's what I base some of my research on, because I sell a lot on eBay. I do a lot of local sales as well, but I really show them, obviously the first thing you want to do if you're wanting to sell online, the easiest way is to register for an eBay account and PayPal, which I'm not a fan of PayPal. People know that. But for the time being, until their payment processor is still linked to PayPal and eBay, that's what we have to use. And then really it's just whether it's a product off the list or it's something that catches their eye, it's really just a matter of, okay, well, let me go on eBay. Let me search this item. It could be a single baseball card. It could be an antique record player. It doesn't matter. And you search that, you filter by your sold listings, and you see if one's been sold recently. And you can do that on Macari as well. And that's how I base a lot of my decisions on should I buy this or should I not, or if it's potentially a buy and hold. The buy and holds get a little more interesting, and that's when you start using a different program like Keepa. And I know Greg or Toyfolio is a big fan of Keepa, and that pretty much shows the history price of items on Amazon, and it'll compare them with eBay. And so that's a Chrome extension that I think it's like $30 a month, if I'm not mistaken. But like that's an extremely valuable tool, especially when you're getting to like a buy and hold situation, because you can see when this toy spiked up in price, maybe when it was first released, and then you see it go down as more sellers come into the market, and then you see when everyone runs out, the price spikes back up, or during a certain time of year. I won't mention the specific type of Lego sets, but there's a couple Lego sets that are supposedly to be retired fairly soon. And, based on that type of product research and watching how the prices have changed over time, I bought a lot of them. I made sure there's none of them in my area. To put it, there's one Lego set I have 70 of, and I have 8 of the other ones, of bigger sets. So I have those stocked away in my storage unit. And regardless of what happens, regardless if it gets retired, I know that they're not reordering at Walmart based on their out of stock stickers. So the price is I'm already in profit if I wanted to sell them now, but it's not going to be, I won't be surprised to see them sell for 3, maybe 4 times the price I initially paid. So I could take the temporary, $10 to $15 profit off each one now, or I can wait for an increased profit margin down the road. So I'm choosing to wait.
Sure. And 3 to 4 times your investment. And I've got to say that in this economy, as the unemployment continues to now decrease as we head into Q3 and especially Q4, you got to be saying to yourself, Merry Christmas, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I can see you hitting 5 and 6 times on your money.
Yeah, it won't surprise me. And there's certain things right now where you can hit 3 times your initial investment and flipping it right away. It's just, I think what happens, and it's a mentality that people have got to change. When, the economy was kind of to garbage and the unemployment rate was sky high, people, I guess, had this mentality that people aren't interested in buying stuff, or they don't want to invest in themselves. And really, that's the best time, because the people who want something are going to figure out how to get it.
That's exactly
right. I've mentioned this before multiple times. Like hair clippers were big for a while because barbershops are closed. I know barbershops in New Jersey are still closed. So my mentality was like, okay, well, I can't even get a haircut for a couple months. And these hair clippers at Dollar General, Wall brand, were $21, and they're selling on eBay for $90. Why would I not buy that? It was just one of those things where we live in a unique time with certain items like that normally wouldn't sell for that, but people were buying, people were paying for it. So that was just something that I did a lot. I did so a lot of hair clippers. A lot of people in the group sold a lot of hair clippers. There was a lot of money to be made with like just that one specific type of item. And now there is, you can't find them anywhere. At least up here, you can't find them in any Dollar General, Family Dollar, Walmart, Target. They're not there. And it's just one of those things where certain items you got to be able to act fast on because they may be a limited release if it's some type of toy or game, and you got to be able to go out within a couple days to try to get them because, although PFP is a fairly decent sized group, there's a lot of resellers and across the US and across the world. So you got to be able to go out and look for them. What I want people to understand is just because you went to your one Walmart near you, or your one Target, and there's nothing there, doesn't mean there aren't opportunities at other ones. It's easy for people to get discouraged after hitting one Walmart and not finding anything. And I get a message saying, well, I didn't find anything. And I'm like, well, how many stores did you go to? And they say one. And I'm like, pretty sure the first time I ever swung a bat, I didn't strike gold. So, I mean, Fridays are typically my big source day where I go over to Pennsylvania and I hit anywhere from like 12 to 15 Walmarts. I go all over the place. And so like tomorrow morning, I'm going to wake up probably at 5 or 5:30. I'm going to get on the road by 6 so I can be at a Walmart in Pennsylvania right when they open at 7. I start my day. I don't find something at every single one. Some days, I'll find 3 or 4 Walmarts that were good. A couple weeks ago, I found some cards I was looking for at one Walmart. I think I sourced for 9 hours that day. I spent $750 on cards, and I sold them the next week for $2,150.
Wow.
All a local sale. So, like, people will say, wow, you spent 9 hours and only found one store. And I'm like, yeah, but that one store yielded me $1,400 profit. So that to me was worth it. $1,400 in one day's worth of work is worth it for me.
Sure. So let's talk about the social media downside of this for a minute, Joe. There's a term that I just get a kick out of, but I've kind of caught on a little bit. But explain the negative Nancy, I'd call it, but the world that we live in this flipping world calls her Karen.
Yeah.
Explain how you deal with Karen, who says, well, sir, you can get this swimming pool at Walmart for $58. Why are you selling it for $150? How do you deal with, and who came up with the name Karen?
Karen's been, that term's kind of been around for a while, but I've noticed since lockdown and everything, people are using the term more. And people, I don't know if it's because they're stuck at home, they got cabin fever, whatever it may be, they just feel the need to nitpick on everything something someone says or has listed. And I get them on occasion on eBay, but I typically don't respond because I'm not trying to get banned on eBay for saying something. I normally wouldn't say something negative anyway. But when you list on Facebook Marketplace and offer up, they come out of the woodworks. And honestly, I either laugh. If they're being extremely rude, I'll just block them. Or sometimes I'll just put a response, supply and demand. And, they say something like, oh, for example, I'll use this. I got a Nintendo Switch over in PA, the normal size one, not the light, for I think it cost $300. And I listed it for $500 on Facebook Marketplace. And the amount of messages and negative people saying that I was taking advantage of the situation and that I was price gouging when they don't understand the term price gouging. And I had, multiple people, you should be ashamed of yourself. And blah, blah, blah. I had another lady say, well, some people deal with depression with video games and you're taking advantage of the system. And I didn't even respond to that one because in my head, I'm like, I don't know if that's true or not. Maybe it is, but if it were true, they probably already had video games. We're getting upset over a video game console. And so you get the messages, well, you can buy this for $300 at Walmart. And I'll respond, well, then go buy it. Go buy it. Because I haven't seen one in the Walmart near me. And it's all these people commenting, well, you can go buy it at Walmart, or they'll put a link to like GameStop, which at the time was out of stock. So I said, that's fine. You can order it there. I'm just listing something I found. If you want it, you can have it. If not, it's funny. All those messages came after I got it. I'd listed it as I was walking out of Walmart, and I had already had a buyer within 20 minutes. So, but I left it on there just to see what other messages I would get, and in case the buyer fell through, and to figure out anyone else I needed to block. So, you know, I deal with it. I've got pretty thick skin. I really, and it's something I've kind of cultivated over a few years. I really just don't care what people think. It's not like I'm selling the last bottle of water on earth. It's not like I'm selling a necessity. I'll usually respond something smart like, well, let me know if you're going to eat this, wipe your butt with it, or feed a family. And if it is, I'll give it to you at retail price, and no one can really say anything to that because it's not a necessity. Anyone who says a video game console is a necessity, in my mind, is just a complete idiot. So that's my personal mentality on it. That's how I deal with them. Most of the time, I don't respond. Just because they're not worth my time. I try to keep everything positive. So me responding to someone negative, potentially in a negative way, is just going to put a damper on my mindset and my mentality. So I usually avoid it 95% of the time.
Sure, and that's always best. I get some of that in my business as well. Dealing with sporting tickets, the Masters being primarily the number one thing. Hey, Brad, we can get these tickets off of StubHub or off of Ticket SeatGeek, wherever, for $500 less. And my favorite rebuttal to that is, well, if I was the same price, who would you buy from? And then I'd probably buy from you. And I let them list the reasons. I ask them why. Why would you buy from me? I know you know me. I'm local, personable. I'm going to be there on the grounds with you the whole time. They end up listing 8 to 10 things. I said, well, there's your $500 difference. So I'm selling you $500, right? You're going to the Masters anyway. Pay $500 more and you get me.
Right.
It comes out worth it. And I can see people doing the same on flipping for profit. Hey, it's a delivery fee or whatever it might be. But I thought that was quite comical as we followed along. As I'm an old man, I guess, but I started paying attention to all the so-called Karens. I got a good kick out of that. Joe,
Right.
if people want to join Products for Profit and they want all your webinars, they want the program, The Art of Flipping, how do they find you?
I'm predominantly on Twitter. I believe my handle on Twitter is Coach Joe Hart. And the link to Products for Profit is in my bio. But I guess I'll kind of touch on this now. What's actually, you'll see me retweet a lot of people who are promoting it because they've gotten results. That's been one of the biggest factors in PFP growing so big is for a few reasons. I have an affiliate program where I offer 50% commissions. So it's a membership-based style group. So if someone signs 5 people up for PFP in a week, they would make $125, but it's not just a one-time thing. If those 5 people stay within the group, they make that $125 every single month. So it becomes passive income. But because people have been able to get such great results, and a lot of, I only allow members to affiliate for that program. That has been the reason why, like, I actually don't have to promote it very much. I don't, I may say something about PFP, but I probably drop a link, my personal link, 2 or 3 times a week because there's so many members who are promoting it and are excited about the results they're getting. I'd rather them get the affiliate sale than me because that keeps them motivated. And that's the benefit of having trying to grow on social media and leverage it, is having a larger engaged following is an advantage. And it's something that I've spent a couple years on. I've spent a lot of time on Twitter, more time than I haven't, have no idea. I mean, I'm probably on Twitter 3 or 4 hours a day, not consistently, but just answering messages,
Yeah.
DMs, that type of thing. So, I mean, it's proved extremely beneficial. So, if someone is interested, I encourage them to go through someone's affiliate link that I retweeted, and don't feel the need to go just directly through mine.
Sure, that's great, and a way to help other people out, a way to keep others involved, drive your membership closer towards that goal of 10,000. It does beg the question, and I'm putting you on the spot here. You don't have to answer if you're not comfortable. Is there more money in the membership than there is in flipping?
There can be, and right now, the membership is extremely, extremely profitable. But I would say, people will see a screenshot of Gumroad and what I do, and they think that, let's say, last in May, I had a screenshot. I think I ended up doing over 60,000 in sales on Gumroad, which is what I sell the membership course and the art of flipping. So a lot of people assume that I made $60,000, but I didn't make $60,000. A lot of those sales are affiliates. So on the low end, it would be like, let's say the lowest it could be would be half that, so 50%. I don't offer more than 50% commission. But I also invest in people within PFP. I pay people to moderate, which a lot of people probably don't know. There's a handful of people that are working on things within the group that most people don't see. So I invest back into that. I also have a partner, Toyfolio, who has a stake in it as well. So it's been extremely profitable, and the increase in income has been great. And but what's really more beneficial to me is not the reoccurring income coming from a membership group. It's the people who are getting results. If you're able to provide value and they're getting results and they're exceeding the results that you're getting, that's what makes me happy. And, I would say by this point, we're probably close to 3 months into PFP. And I'm sure, by no exaggeration, collectively, there's been over $1.5 million in profit made collectively.
Yeah,
it wouldn't.
sure.
So, I mean, I'll put it this way: if I can think of probably 30 or 40 people off the top of my head out of the 12 or 1,300 that have made at least $10,000 profit in a couple months. So that's 400 to 500K right there.
Sure,
And so
sure.
to me,
Well,
that to me is the most beneficial thing.
That's great. And again, helping others and see them win. There's nothing like it. That's one of the most beneficial things of what I do as well, is when you see people win and you see people start getting closer and even accomplishing their dreams. It's just a gratification that, quite frankly, we don't call it selfish. We call it strategic.
Right.
And so thank you for letting me put you on the spot there. And again, I can vouch and say that I am a member. Those of you that listen to the show and follow DreamIT and the Bucket List Coaching Program, you all are very familiar with my son Bryson, and Bryson and I joined in. Joe does a phenomenal job of providing you with the knowledge and the information. Again, he doesn't just give you the products, but he shows you the process. And if anybody out there says they're a coach and all they do is give you the answers, you've got the wrong coach. Any coach that you hire should always show you the process and help you along. They may walk side by side. They may walk a step in front of you, but they'll never just give you the answer. So if you're looking for a coach out there, you're interested in the art of flipping, you're interested in products for profit, search it up on Twitter. Look up at Coach Joe Hart on Twitter. He's a great follow, by the way, as well. Even if you're not interested in flipping, he's got some great motivational, just good information, always providing value. So, Joe, I appreciate having you on the show today. Appreciate your time. Again, this is the first time we've talked. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah,
Look
man.
forward to it. I'll leave our audience with a little teaser. We had just a little conversation before we hit record, and we might have something in the works with what we think might be called a flip and a trip or something.
Yeah.
And so stay tuned. Follow both of us on social media. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button below. Subscribe to DreamIT Professional Events. Subscribe to @Coach Joe Hart. We've got some big news we'll probably release here in the next couple of months once we put the details together. But if you're looking for a coach, you've got two of them right here, and we'd be glad to help you. Joe, again, thanks for joining us today. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, man. Thanks for the invite. Loved being able to connect and, just talk about whatever, man. I loved it.
Absolutely. That's another episode of Bucket List Living with Brad Norwood. I want you to have a great day, but I always want you to remember the bucket list life is a life worth living. God bless you.